game.
He's played 37 out of 46 games.
There's been some questions about his stats because he's only he had a 7.5 sack season, I think. That's about it. So, for the money we paying him, we expecting 12 at least. Right below it. But
Khalil Mack's expected to get 15 sacks a year. I mean, Flowers is about 10 to 12 each year.
He's averaging 7 sacks. He had 21 sacks in 3 seasons with the Patriots.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. I mean, he comes with he's been effective in New England. He's only 26. He had to prove it to Belichick. He was drafted in the 4th round. He's not he wasn't some known first round commodity, so he had to work his way up. His only downfall really has been his production numbers, which I guess you can attest that the way New England, the way they scheme moves around, they have multiple players getting 6 sacks, 7 sacks, 8 sacks instead of 1 or 2 dominant pass rushers like a lot of teams have or don't have. Or also, Flowers' biggest question mark is damn injury history. He's missed a few games here, a few games there with little ailments. But he needs to stay on the field for us, and he needs to dominate this year. He needs to be all over the defensive line. Patricia needs to be moving around everywhere, standing up, hand on the ground, popping off in the coverage, stunt blitzes. You could do anything with Flowers. He's very smart. He's very aggressive. So he needs to earn that contract.
I just think Flowers is a product of the system because of the fact that, I mean, you look at Patricia, what he did.
Like coaches.
Who?
Just like the coaching tree.
Yeah, especially because with Patricia, that's what worries me the most. Flowers is a product of Patricia because Patricia was there with Flowers for a while, and Patricia's defense gave up 300 yards to Bortles in the AFC Championship and almost lost that game if it wasn't for a Stephon Gilmore tipped away pass because it was underthrown a little bit. Of course, thanks to Blake Bortles. But still, that's 300 yards to Blake Bortles, and then not even 2 weeks later, gave up 500 yards to Nick Foles in a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, I understand he didn't have Malcolm Butler, but I'm sorry, the way Foles was throwing the ball that night against that secondary, you're still throwing against guys like Patrick Chung and Stephon Gilmore. I mean, it's not a.
When Matt Patricia was in New England, he made his bread and butter off having defenses that gave up a lot of yards but were opportunistic with turnovers. I think 3 or 4 of the defenses he had in New England that were top 3 in turnover, and interceptions, fumbles. They forced a lot of gave up a lot of yards, forced a lot of turnovers. So they said that was a product of Patricia, the way he taught Belichick's scheme to the players. So.
But with the rumor of Belichick possibly undercutting Patricia's,
I hope the same thing works here.
Well, with the rumor of Patricia's defense scheme getting undercut by Bill and doing that one last year, I mean, it begs the question, did people buy Bill Belichick's defensive system thinking it was Matt Patricia's when Matt Patricia just got a contract to go to Detroit, and then it turns in, I'm not saying it's gonna, but what if it turns into a farce? I mean, they basically paid out for a coach for a system that they believed that was there that wasn't. I mean, and the thing
go ahead.
But
Matt Patricia is how do you say this? he gets lost in his own head. Like, he overthinks stuff. And so I could see if Belichick undercut him before, like on certain strategy, on strategic movements and stuff like that on the defense. Bill Belichick doesn't even have a defensive coordinator right now in New England. Like, it's not.
Yeah, he's his own guru, man.
That job is vacant.
Look, I can somewhere in my own imagination, at least 3 times a week, Bill Belichick looking straight into Matt Patricia's eyes when he's going on one of his little nerdy tangents and saying, Matt, shut the hell up. You are the stupidest smart guy I know. I can't take this anymore. Leave the room.
But why did he keep him around?
Because he was very intelligent. It's just a point of, like, sometimes...
I mean,
like,
they were winning. They were winning.
Like you said, sometimes he overthinks himself, and when you overanalyze and try to overdo something, you end up chasing yourself in circles. And so I think there was probably points at all the time where Belichick would just look at him and kick him out of the room because he had already gotten all the information he needs, and now the dude was talking himself and the entire room into a circle, and Bill was like, just get out. You did your purpose, go away. And that's his issue.
I mean, that's why the rumors consisted of like Adelius Thomas, Gerard Mayo, Gilmore, Hightower going ahead and skipping meetings, falling asleep, and then it took Bill to come sit in the meetings to get the players to respect Patricia. So the whole respect to Patricia by the players and the Lions.
Detroit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if the players don't respect the coach and buy into his philosophy, that's just a failed start right there. And I understand he kind of had to come in and basically mini rebuild with Stafford because Quinn was trying to get the right players for him.
From the group of players that's on the team right now, like the Damon Snacks Harrison and the Trey Flowers and the Stafford, I think that he has a better relationship with them just now than he did last year. Because that locker room last year, a lot of those players that were from the Jim Caldwell era, the Tahir Whiteheads and stuff like that, they didn't like the Glover Quinn. They didn't like Patricia's style. Like, even in practice, Patricia's very grooving. He runs them a lot. You know what I'm saying? High school shit that some players feel like they too professional for. So, you know, hopefully that problem is less of a problem this year.
I also think that possibly maybe he succeeded so well in New England because he's good as a coordinator. Some people are like that as coaches, and they're great coordinators. But just head coaches, I'm not saying you can't cut it. Obviously, he's only had 1 year. But I'm just saying in general, like, you go look at Dick LeBeau for the Steelers, and he was there forever. He was a defensive coordinator. He was never a head coach because that's what he was good at, was being the coordinator. And Patricia, okay, he was there that long and winning, but he did it as a coordinator. He wasn't a head coach. And, I mean, I just don't understand how so many coordinators come out of New England and they literally get taught everything by Bill, and they still seem to screw it up. I just don't understand it.
Random fact that doesn't matter. Dick LeBeau was an all-pro cornerback for the Lions in the 70s.
Oh, I know he was. I know his career.
He's also one of the all-time leading interceptors
you know my point, though.
in NFL history also.
Yeah, he got 6. But, yeah, I know your point. A lot of coordinators, they don't transition over. That's true.
Okay. We got to get on a wrap on the show. So I want to ask you this. Everything we've talked about,
sure.
What's your final take on what the season outcome is? What's your predictions right now? We're not going to hold them to you.
Jay, can I add on one thing to that? NFC North prediction.
Yes.
I want a prediction for Vikings, Packers, Bears, Lions, everything.
How do you see this division breaking down? And you can start with the Lions.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna give you all this prediction, barring health. So this is like, I'm thinking of every team fully healthy right now, going through the season, right? Right now, I think the Lions are going to win 12 or 13 games and shock the NFL.
There's that broken glass again.
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
I respect your opinion, brother. I know you're diehard Honolulu Blue. But, man, it's just...
I'm serious.
Look, you said that, and I almost fell out of my chair and had a Dave moment, okay?
No. Let me tell you this.
My brain almost started to melt.
I'm dreaming, okay? I'm dreaming here. This is a dream. But the Lions Kool-Aid, let's flow it, right? Let's flow it. The offensive line stays healthy. Kerryon Johnson rushes for 1,600 yards, goes to Pro Bowl.
1,600?
1,600. That's the type of.
Oh my God!
If Darren Bevel's offense is going to be fully effective in its method, Kerryon Johnson is going to have a monster year. You know what? You know who else will have a monster year? T.J. Hockenson. And I'm telling y'all, right now, I think this is probably one of the best draft picks in Lions history. Just off training camp and preseason, and I don't even judge players in the training camp and preseason. But there's something about this dude. Anyways, but if Darren Bevel's offense is going to be highly effective, then T.J. Hockenson is going to have a monster year. Kerryon Johnson is going to have a monster year. And the Lions are going to win the division for the first time since it's been in the NFC North. I think the Lions' biggest foe in the division is Chicago. And barely after that, I think it's the Packers. I think the Packers and Chicago are kind of like, I think the Packers and Chicago are both dark horse Super Bowl threats. But I also think they can both miss the playoffs because of the Lions. The Vikings, I believe, are overrated, and I think Cousins is going to have a trash year. And I just think their defense is going to take a step back. I also think Chicago's defense is going to take a step back. And I'm highly questionable of the Packers' defense, even though y'all did pick up a couple edge rushers and Rashawn Gary. So y'all front seven.
Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage.
Y'all secondary is more questionable than y'all front seven, but if the Packers front seven comes alive and y'all give Aaron Rodgers some kind of help in the with receivers and tight ends.
I will say this about the front seven quickly, Julius. The reason why it looks questionable is the absolute centerpiece and the cog that is going to make this defense be average to below to excellent to extremely good has not played at all, and that's number 97. The 1-4-6 defense, me and Dave have been pounding the table, does not work with anybody else because Kenny Clark at 23 years old is a stud and can, by midseason, this kid, if he starts showing what he was showing in the next step, by midseason, he will be the next defensive star. He is on his way. He's a stud now. He is on his way now to being the next Aaron Donald at 23 going on 24 years old. And look,
Kenny
it's not
Clark
being a homer.
Kenny Clark is an emerging talent at his position on the defensive line. And if Rashawn Gary is as good as he's supposed to be, y'all might have something going there in Green Bay on the defense. Even if y'all corner, because I always say this the same. I say this about the Lions defensive line because I'm hoping our defensive line is good too. But our defensive line can make secondary look way better. A defensive line can fix a lot of holes that you might have in other places on the defense, in linebacker and cornerback or safety. A good defensive line, and y'all got it. Y'all look like y'all might have it in Green Bay. And y'all, in my opinion, y'all are questionable on weapons for Rodgers.
You got to listen to our draft special. You got to listen to our draft special, Julius. Do us a favor because you will probably have a different opinion. The numbers bear out the weapons are there based on previous Packer Hall of Fame eligible receivers, rookie numbers.
Who is y'all second receiver right now?
MVS has
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
MVS has the exact same numbers coming off his rookie year